Can't do it. We can't start another episode with just laughter. I think people are going to start to be like, okay, kids, we get it. This is all fun and games for you. They would be right. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Jason.
And I'm Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. And this is the
Hi.
Posture Podcast. We are part of a small consulting company called Posture, and we work with big companies and small companies on their go-to-market strategy, their landscape analysis, and their product launches. So we're very excited to be with you today, and thank you for joining us. Today we have a really interesting topic because a lot of times people are starting to explore the process of using AI in some way during their go-to-market, whether it's for messaging, always wonderful, for competitive intelligence, for just learning about what the trends of the market are, or doing some advanced analysis on investments and those kinds of things. So the topic for today's episode is going to be just that. It's going to be about doing AI research for product marketing and competitive intelligence. And my colleague Sarah is going to teach us a lot about her tips and tricks and what she's learned along the way. But first, okay, I wish I hadn't done that. But first,
Yeah, we should have a soundtrack for that, though. We should have one.
We should have okay.
Like a little sound button where we just press a button and then our sound happens.
That's what the sound's going to be too. It's going to be like a grumping sound. All right. Okay. So, before we get into the topic of the day, we do have some questions from our inbox we want to respond to. And so this is our section we like to call Make It Make Sense. Now, yes. Sarah, today we have a very thematic question, actually, one that fits perfectly in what we're talking about, which is to say, as a product marketer, I look around and there's tons of great AI tools that are out there. You've got tools that help you write. There are tools that help you position. There are tools that help you do like traction and website analysis, sales funnel analysis, and all the things that you might actually want to do as a product marketer. And maybe you have those resources, maybe you didn't, but they help you do it a little bit faster and a little more effectively. So the question actually is, what is my role as a human in all this? If there's all these great tools, and there's all these things that are doing it faster, better, what have you, then as a product marketer, why am I still around? Why am I doing my job? And let me tell you, that's an existential crisis I think we've all had, regardless of our role and industry.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great question. Sarah, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but what is it that I'm supposed to be doing as a human when the AI is doing so many great things for me?
Well, there's also so many AI products, like so many different things to learn about. That also can be incredibly overwhelming, and trying to like focus in on like what tool actually is the tool I need, and then how do I master that, because there's a learning curve. It's not just, you purchase the software and then suddenly you know how to use it, and you have all this information at your fingertips. That's just not how that works.
Yeah, just because it's out there doesn't mean that it's something that's right for you or right for the organization. It just means that it's like anything else. It's another product, right?
Right.
It's also interesting because I think as humans, we play a distinct role in terms of interacting with other humans. And so much of what we talk about is, in fact, about the analysis and the science and how you go about doing things. But it's that storytelling piece that becomes so important as a product marketer as well. You know your audience. They aren't all signed into ChatGPT. There's only one person getting that feedback from SEMrush about the various players and what their MAUs or DAOs, if you can get that from SEMrush, I'm not even sure. But my point is, you know your audience. You know whether or not they want to see the numbers. You won't know whether or not they need to know a lot or a little bit about their context in the market in order to be successful at what they do. And so to a large degree, it's like anything else in go-to-market. as a product marketer, your job is to pull together all of the resources, regardless of where you're getting them from. So some of that may come from a product like SEMrush that is going to give you website or web analytics. Some may come from an AI tool or large language model, like we're going to talk about today, that's going to give you some context and up-to-date information, and maybe some narrative to go along with it. Some of it's going to come from engineering. Some of it's going to come from product. And so your job is really to weave that all together in a way that makes sense for all of your audiences, to help them understand the opportunity that's in the market, understand the details of the product, understand the plan around go-to-market, and more importantly, go out, feel confident, and sell it themselves. So it's an exciting role that we humans play in product marketing. And AI is an important part, and it's part of the shifting landscape and shifting our role slightly. But the reality is our perspective on our stakeholders is critical, and our wisdom and experience as it relates to product marketing is necessary. And so that's my take on it. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, so, and I feel like also a lot of people want to consider AI as another coworker, as a partner, but it's a tool, and it needs to be looked at as a tool, and it needs to be used as a tool. So it's not, AI isn't going to take over your job. It's a human who knows how to use AI who's going to take over your job.
This is the best. Point. AI is destroying the world. Counterpoint. Your enemy is your friend.
So learn how to use the AI to be able to get the edge and the benefit, and to get ahead.
Jump on it.
Be that human who uses the AI.
That's fantastic.
Get your job.
Thank you for that little bit of fear, Sarah. That's fantastic. We really needed that. No, but great question. Keep the questions coming. I think it's important. Sometimes these are details you may want to know about the mechanics of go-to-market or something like that, or they could be something like this, where you're just thinking about it, be it the role of a product marketer in an organization, or in this particular case, the role of a product marketer in leveraging AI tools to get ahead, get your company ahead, and generally win. So very exciting. Thanks for sharing that topic. Okay, now it's time for a little bit of marketing side-eye. This is a segment we love the most because the reality is that there's lots of really great product marketing, messaging, all that stuff out there. And then there's occasionally something that seems a little busted. And so we are using this segment to really talk about that which in product marketing is a little bit busted. So our topic today, again, because we're going to be talking about prompts in AI and how to use it in AI research, I have a bit of marketing side-eye that absolutely drives me crazy. And that is AI washing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. If you're not familiar with the term, almost certainly you've noticed it and kind of laughed and chuckled to yourself when a company does this. This is when you take a product and you make it seem like there's way more AI in it than there actually is. You're exaggerating it. You kind of blow out the AI process. We used to joke when AI really started to get onto the scene that just mentioning the AI in your messaging would increase your value by 20%. And
wow, I didn't know that.
That's crazy. The statistics are absolutely crazy. I mean, you can look at look at companies like Equinix, the data trading company. Last year, they made all of these. They're not data trading; they're data centers. They made tons of claims about how much AI they were leveraging in their data centers. And of course, there was so much swirl and, excitement about that company on the market and in terms of people getting the product. And then as people got to know that service and got to know that company and that rollout a little bit more, they realized that really there's not a lot of AI in this. We've seen this in a couple really contemporary situations with quite well branded. I mean, the best branded companies in the world. The two that really stuck out for me was, and this is alleged. Do not make any of your. This is alleged.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I'm just going to say allegedly because I don't want you making trades in any way. there's no actual leverageable insight coming from the company about whether or not you should invest in these companies. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to throw some side eye, and the side eye goes to Apple and their Apple Intelligence in the iPhone 16. This is one where there's a lot of excitement. I mean, you saw a number of different platforms coming out with really meaningful use of AI. Certainly Amazon in the home space and the personal assistant space. And so Apple rolled out this, in their iPhone 16 rollout, they rolled out Apple Intelligence, making all sorts of claims about what Siri could do. Now,
yes,
I
Siri.
say anything negative about that is alleged, but there are several class action lawsuits against Apple for that very case. The reality is some of the claims, well, again, allegedly, the reality is that some of these capabilities aren't even going to be available until 2016, 2017. If you're watching this in not 2016, 2018. This is an indication of my age right here. Back in 2015, we didn't have AI. We did it ourselves, and we loved it. No one could compete with us except for the guy next door. No, what I was going to say is some of these features aren't even slated to roll out until 2026 and 2027. So
that makes more sense. Makes more sense.
Makes more sense. And hopefully they get there. Hopefully they get there with. What was amazing about the iPhone 16 rollout is that they had actually invented a time machine to go along with it. So you could go back to 2017. Speaking about going back, one of my favorite all-time beverages is, in fact, Coca-Cola. And of course, do not make trading decisions on the fact that I love Coke. But they rolled out a couple, last year or the year before, they rolled out Coke Y3000 zero sugar. And this is what's really insane because it's a drink. I mean, it's not even like a tech company, but they rolled out this new drink and they claimed
I don't even remember
that
this drink. Like, I don't remember anything about this.
Which is shocking because you're in the Y3000 zero sugar target market, I imagine. It's like Tab Zero or something like that. But anyways, the claims they totally AI washed their drink by saying that it was developed in collaboration, essentially, allegedly, between humans and AI. And you just wonder what that was about. Like,
what does that even mean?
Exactly. I think you are asking the same question that everyone standing in the supermarket was saying. Like, what is it about this that is AI and human? Like, what is the thing? What is the thing that the human did? And why would you have AI making a drink for you? I mean, I can understand robots in general, but not AI. I don't know. It seems bonkers. So that's the thing. My marketing side eye for this week. Definitely AI whitewashing. It is important that you put, we talked about this quite a bit in benefits versus features. It is important that if you have a feature, that feature is there and you're talking about it in the sense that it's your reason to believe. So if you're going to use positioning around AI, it is really important that you also have AI in the product because that's the reason to believe, and you'll end up really upsetting your customers.
In the product, like little AI bots in the drink?
Yeah, could that be like they produce the ice? Like you go into the drink and it just starts manufacturing ice, like mini bots?
There are so many ways you could go. There are so many questions that I have around.
Look, I'm not telling you whether to whether to invest in Paramount or NBC Universal or something like that. But it does seem a little bit Star Trek-like to use AI to manufacture a drink. I'm not buying it. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. Marketing side eye. We did it.
That was a good one. That was a good marketing side eye.
I give so little side eye that I don't even know. So there you go. Okay. As I mentioned, we have a very exciting topic. For us, it's something that we have worked hard on. As kind of alluded to, it's about how we use AI in product marketing and in competitive analysis, landscape analysis. Anytime where we have to kind of ingest huge amounts of information, synthesize that, and get some starting points in terms of where we can take it around positioning and messaging and those kinds of things, we do in fact try and leverage lots of different AI tools. And so Sarah, as our head of research, is extremely good at this and has been working through a lot of methodologies. And we were talking earlier, truth be told, I think probably she's been at this as long, if not longer, than most of the people out there today in product marketing who have been trying to figure out how you get the details, how you do comparative analytics, well before maybe even the machines were there. So I'm looking forward to Sarah's tips and tricks. Sarah, take it away.
Thank you. Yes. So I do use AI a lot. I use different AI tools. And one of the reasons why I use AI is because it's quick and it's efficient. And we work with a lot of high agency teams who don't have a lot of time. They need signal and they need it fast. And one of the skills that I've developed using these tools is how to write better prompts. Writing better prompts is one of the fastest ways to sharpen your competitive edge with an AI tool. When it comes to competitive research, the difference between surface level output and real strategic insight often comes down to how you frame a question. It's not about what tool you use, but how you prompt it, what you can pull out of it, what you can get out of it. And in a world where your rivals are shifting tactics and all these new AI tools are coming out, they're changing prices, they're rolling out features, tweaking messages. You don't just need any AI response, you need to get answers that help you make strategic moves. And that's where prompt quality can be your edge. But before we dive into prompts and tactics, I want to start with a quick note on the tool we'll be focusing on, and that's ChatGPT. There are dozens of AI platforms right now, like Claude AI, Gemini, Perplexity, Copilot, a lot of really niche research assistants, all with their own strengths that are very valuable to use. But for this episode, we're going to focus on ChatGPT because I feel like it's the one that everybody is the most familiar with. You probably used it before. And I don't want you to have to learn a whole new product just to implement some of the skills that we're going to talk about today. I want you to be able to use it on a product you already know.
That's great.
And a product that your team already knows. So our goal isn't try to convince you to use ChatGPT, but it's the most beneficial and the easiest to talk about today for the purpose of the subject. So let's talk about writing smarter prompts specifically for competitive research and what to avoid if you want sharper, more actionable results. Today is about starting where you are and leveling up from there. So if you've ever gotten a vague or generic response from an AI, something that we have often experienced, I think one of our very first experiences with AI was we asked it to fill out a a heat map that we had made, and we were very excited at first because it filled it all out. There was all this information, but then once we dove into it and started reading the details of it,
It was
it was
classic.
every company was doing the same thing. It was incredibly general. Some of it wasn't even true, and we went from this super high, like, yeah, this is done, we got this so fast, to like, oh my God, we're actually gonna have to work.
It was like one big giant competitive hallucination. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. We were both hopeful and crushed within 10-minute period. It's unbelievable. It's terrible.
So you have to think about your prompt like a research brief. The more precise, structured, and grounded it is, the better of a response and better results you're going to get. When researching competitors, strong prompts can help you surface key differences, summarize content strategies, analyze pricing models, extract patterns in hiring or partnerships. Now, the anatomy of a strong prompt is what makes a strong prompt we get that question a lot. The way I look at it is by making sure that each prompt has a context, has an objective, and has constraints. So for the context, I want to give the model a foundation, frame the playing field. What spaces are we looking at? So if I'm researching video editing software, an example, that part of my prompt would include, you're a market analyst focusing on SaaS tools for video editing. So I give it a foundation. And then I want to explain my objective. I want to be clear about what I want and guide the output. What format or comparison is most useful? So for the objective in that prompt, compare CapCut, Descript, and Veed based on key features and user reviews. And then the next level of that prompt is giving it constraints, set my limits or preferences, narrow the lens, focus on information available in the past 6 months, summarize findings in bullet points. ChatGPT already knows I love myself some bullet points. They're easy for me to read. So now in every response it gives me, it's almost always in bullet points.
In every response it gives me, it tells a joke.
It will also learn you. It's interesting how it starts to predict the kinds of things that you want once you ask it that same question. So that full prompt, with all those three things together, context, objective, and constraints, would look something like, you are a market analyst focused on SaaS tools for video editing. Compare CapCut, Descript, and Veed based on key features and user reviews. Focus on publicly available information from the past 6 months. Summarize findings in bullet points. That prompt is far more likely to give you useful, skimmable, and current results than a vague prompt or a more general prompt. So what are some common use cases or sample prompts you can use with ChatGPT? I'm going to walk you through a few competitive research cases and prompt examples you can adapt to your own needs. Use case 1, positioning analysis. So a prompt would be, act as a brand strategist. Analyze how Notion, Evernote, and Coda position themselves on their homepages and landing pages. What themes, taglines, and tones are they using? I also like to provide the websites of any specific competitor I'm using, just so that I know ChatGPT isn't looking at third-party websites or maybe online magazines who are reviewing those particular companies or opinions of other people. I want direct information from those companies and what they're saying about themselves. A use case 2, product gaps. Compare features listed on pricing pages of Loom, Descript, and Clipchamp. Identify any features unique to each. Suggest possible opportunities based on those gaps. That's a good prompt to use if you need to look for any product gaps. A use case 3 would be hiring signals. A good prompt for that would be, you're a go-to-market strategist or go-to-market analyst. Based on current job listings, postings at ClickUp, identify patterns in hiring. Focus on roles, departments, and geography. What does this suggest about their strategic focus? That prompt gives you the context, it gives the ChatGPT an objective, and it gives it constraints. The constraints would be the roles, departments, geography. Use case 4, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, sorry, I interrupted. There's one comment and one question for you. The comment is, I'm really glad you used that example of hiring practices and patterns, because that is often overlooked as a piece of competitive analysis. And we'll go over these things, in the future episodes and stuff like that specifically. But looking at, any of these kinds of, like, whether they're recruiting sites or whether they're LinkedIn or those kinds of things, you can learn a lot about the company, how many people, and therefore, if you're running multiples, you can kind of triangulate revenue and all sorts of good information. So I'm really glad you called that out, Sarah. I think that's an important tool, great prompt to get that information too, since it's so high volume to develop the pattern. The other one I'm wondering about is the feature piece, because you mentioned, like, in use case 2, before we move on to 4. But we were joking about the heat map that ChatGPT, kind of created from hallucination land on 5 competitors or something like that. Do you feel like, you kind of, having had that experience, do you feel like you now trust that ChatGPT is going to get you there in terms of that kind of level of feature analysis? And is the prompt that you're suggesting helping you trust it more? You know what I mean?
I don't trust it. No. What allows me to trust it is when I ask it to provide me the sources it's using, or when I provide it sources. And I'll go over that a little bit later for some bonus things. But no, I never trust what it says right off the bat without looking into it first. I think I've learned my lesson on that. I do trust it in terms of analyzing, and maybe if I'm having a conversation, more like a conversation with it, or asking it to give me ideas about where there could be gaps, and then it can give me ideas to research into, or to go more in depth with another source, or it helps gives me sources that I can then go look at myself and determine if that is actually the case or not. So yeah, no, I don't trust ChatGPT's responses.
No, that's helpful context.
No.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's helpful.
So
burned once.
Being able to asking it to cite its sources is incredibly important. And I don't just ask for a list of sources at the end. I ask it throughout the conversation. I will tell it to cite as it goes. And that helps a lot, because then it'll give in parentheses the article that it's getting that specific bit of information from, and I can go back to that article and read it for myself, which is what I often do. Especially awesome. With the features and also about the hiring signals, that is a way to kind of look at the information that's not there, or that's not quite said. So if they're looking to hire a team for AI, if they're looking for people who are experienced in AI, then that will tell me that they're looking to add AI more into their product, or they are lacking in that, and they need more information. They need more help with that. So those are some things that you can kind of see between the lines with that. So for use case 4, content strategy, A good prompt would be analyze the blog content strategy of Jasper AI versus Copy AI. What categories do they write about the most, and what types of posts perform the best on social platforms, and what types of posts get more social shares? And even if you don't want to do a comparison and you just want to focus on one company, analyze the blog content strategy of Jasper AI. What categories do they write about the most? What types of posts perform best on social shares? The content that your competitors put out is very telling. This is who they're targeting. This is what they want you to know about their product. Blogs from competitors are a gold mine for me, at least when I'm doing competitive research. I will always go to see what's on their blog. And each of these includes context, clarity, and scope, and that's the key for to start out with a good prompt.
Mm-hmm.
Now that brings me into the mistakes, the biggest mistakes people make when they're writing a prompt, and that will get you the worst responses, like the heat map response, where it was hallucination and generalizations throughout the whole workbook. Vague prompts. Tell me about company X. Why does this fail? Because there's no lens, there's no focus, there's no depth. You'll get a Wikipedia summary, not competitive intelligence. How can you fix something like this? Define the outcome. Try break down company X's go-to-market strategy targeting mid-sized retail organizations in Europe. That's a lot more detailed, gives it depth, and gives it a lens to focus on. Number two, overloading the prompts. Compare company A and company B's features, pricing, positioning, ad copy, customer feedback, and team structure. Why does this fail? You'll get a buffet of shallow answers, no depth, no prioritization, probably hallucinations.
Guilty.
I'm also guilty of doing that too. The way you can fix that is you focus each prompt on one research objective. Stack them like a strategic document. So break it up. If you want to know about all of those things, write it down and then create a prompt specifically about the features. Create a prompt specifically about pricing, positioning. Specifically about positioning, specifically about customer feedback, and provide it sources on those particular topics that you have already researched. And then ask it to provide its own sources as well. 3, subjective prompts without criteria. What's the best SaaS company? This fails because best is meaningless to ChatGPT without context. Best for who? Why is it the best? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
A way to fix it, add framing. Compare user retention across top-rated SaaS task managers among solo founders. This gives it a definition. This defines what your best is, top-rated. I often will use phrases like the top 10 or what are the most commonly mentioned, instead of just saying the best out there. Another mistake, one-word prompts. Analyze ClickUp. That's not going to give you anything. Again, that is also vague. Analyze what? Strategy, onboarding flow, churn rate. How do you fix this? Say exactly what you want to learn. Analyze ClickUp's PLG onboarding strategy based on public documentation and product UI. That gives it a structure. It defines what analyze means to you, and it gives it direction. Missing context. What are their jobs? Why does this fail? Who is they? What do you mean by jobs? Hiring, jobs to be done, internal roles. How can you fix it? List the roles company X is hiring for as of June 2025. Highlight any new team formations or go-to-market expansions. Again, this gives it detail. Gives it context. It gives it an objective.
That's great.
So now for a few little bonus tips that you can apply to all of your prompts, not just competitive research prompts. This I use across the board. 1, follow-up prompts. Think of your session with ChatGPT as a conversation. The first answer is probably going to be the broadest answer, and you want to ask follow-ups. You want to ask about that. Whatever you get, you want to ask it to go deeper. Can you expand on that last point? Now compare this competitor to the competitor we just talked about. Request formats, again, I love bullet points. ChatGPT knows I love bullet points. It provides me answers in bullet points now. So you can ask for tables, bullet points, summaries, even SWOT analysis. I often ask for those as well. Leverage role play. I will ask it to act like something, act like a product marketer, act like a competitive researcher, act like a user using this product. I often give it roles to play and lenses to look through and give me the information that I need. You want to test and iterate, try multiple angles. If you're not getting quite what you want with the specific prompt, ask it in a different way. Do it a few times. It might eventually get the point. Sometimes you can give it a very detailed, focused objective, and still it's not quite giving you that information that you want. Continue, keep going, adjust the prompts as you go. And then once you find a good prompt, use it as a template. I will make a separate document, and I will, if I find that one particular prompt works with the goal that I have, I will copy and paste it into a document and then just change. Say I'm looking at a series of competitors, I'll just change the competitor within that prompt and then copy and paste it into chat. And usually it will give me the same type of format as the previous answers. Sometimes it'll go left and I'll give it the same prompt and it'll give me something totally bizarre. And I'll be like, no, go back to how you were doing it before. And then it'll go back. Ask for sources, ask for verification, provide your own sources. Again, AI is a tool. It's not a source of unverified assumptions or hallucinations. Ask for citations, ask for statistics, where they got their statistics from. Summarize named reports. I will often ask for an annotated bibliography at the end so that I know exactly what they're using from each source. And then ask it to ask you questions. Sometimes it needs clarity and you don't know that it needs clarity. If you give it permission to ask you clarifying questions, it will help it focus. It provides you with the information that it needs in order for it to give you the information that you need. If you just say, ask me clarifying questions, it'll give you a whole list of them. I usually say, give me 3 to 5 clarifying questions. And then I'll number it and I'll answer each question and start the conversation from there.
Thank you, Sarah. There's actually a ton of really great, very, very practical information that can help accelerate your go-to-market planning, your synthesis and your analysis of what's going on in the market. So these are great prompts. If you want to learn more about this, or you want to see these example prompts, please go to our blog, which is listed on the screen. And you'll see, and be able to just, copy and paste, or you could just say, ChatGPT, please take a look at this blog and tell me the most relevant information. Something along those lines.
I do that a lot.
See how many social shares. If you're going to do anything, you better social share it, because otherwise ChatGPT is not going to pay attention to it. But
ChatGPT will also take the transcript of a YouTube video and just give me the direct information instead of having to sit there for an hour and listen to banter.
Oh, ouch. As a bonus to this, go grab that. You go grab that GPT. Now that you've watched the entire thing, go grab that GPT and just see how it works. And please don't mention anything about it ever again to anybody. So, but remember, as we talked about, AI is not your enemy. People are your enemy.
People
AI
using AI are your enemy.
Yeah, exactly. Sarah is your enemy. So. Well, that was definitely the topic of the day. We enjoyed sharing this with you and putting it together. Hopefully you found it useful. If you did, please, like, follow, comment, or share. And until next time, let us know if you have any questions, and you can write any of your make it make sense questions to info@posture.consulting. No .com, just consulting, because we're that great. All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks. Bye.